Welcome to this episode of Let's Talk Trade. We have Dr. Robert Ibe with us today. Welcome, Robert.
Hello, glad to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice to have you back.
Thank you.
It has been an incredible discussion with you last time. It was so insightful to get your ideas, being an MD, having an MBA, working in the world of trade, but as well as a physician. So, I mean, it's amazing to have you back. Just your thoughts and your ideas is so unique and differentiating as well, especially from the more, let's say, practitioners in the world of trade. It's nice to hear a doctor's opinion.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Yeah. So tell us, what is currently on your mind? What is the things that is new in the world of cardiac development and things that you see at this moment? What is occupying your mind these days?
Where do I start? So, there are a lot of things happening in the world of cardiac. For example, AI is making encroachments into the world of cardiac, and that's good because there's a lot of promise that AI can bring. There are a lot of development in the field of cardiac electrophysiology.
What does that mean? Sorry for those out there that don't come from the field of cardiac. What does that mean?
Yeah, electrophysiology is a fancy word for electrical and the physiology of the heart. Bring it together.
Okay.
And anything that concerns the electrical activity of the heart and how it impacts the physiology of the heart, its function, that is essentially electrophysiology.
Oh, lovely. Okay, yeah. So I have an electrophysiological pump, maybe.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's amazing. Okay, great. So what is keeping you up then about that? What are you thinking if there's so much evolution in the world of AI in this area?
So generally the world of cardiac can be challenging because you are dealing with an organ that just doesn't stop. That's
True.
Number one.
Hopefully not.
Yes, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Yes. When it stops, you're dealing with a different thing altogether.
Exactly.
That's number one. Number two, it is a pump. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of electrical activity with the pump.
Okay.
And so so there is the structural part to it. There's a physiological part to it. There is electrical part to it, and so all of these things have to be balanced. And when you come to the electrophysiology, or should I say, whichever part you go into, the structural, you go into the electrophysiological part of it, they all affect each other. And the world of cardiac is really fascinating because you have a lot of very, very smart doctors. You have a lot of very, very smart people who are treating quite often a lot of very sick patients. And they have a number of tools at their disposal, but we still have a great need for better outcomes for a number of these patients. Mm-hmm. And for me, it would be great to at least contribute something that even advances or brings some improvement to this field.
So what is the type of topics that you see, those some things that is not yet addressed? I mean, we've come such a long way, right? If I look at heart transplants and amazing, something, double bypasses, triple bypasses, not that I have any real clue what that means. I know these terms, but that's about it. And thank goodness I have not had to go under the knife in that arena, and I would not have needed your support yet. But what is then? We've come such a long way from a cardiac perspective that now with we can transplant hearts, we can implant valves, we can open up arteries and these type of things. What is more as well needed?
Ooh. Because this is such a big area.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps I'll focus on the area which I am pursuing, which is electrophysiology.
Okay.
and particularly cardiac arrhythmias.
Okay. Ah, okay.
And arrhythmias just mean that the rhythm of the heart is abnormal.
What would you consider? Sorry, just that I understand.
Sure.
What is normal, and then
Okay.
when do you know that it is abnormal?
Sure. The rate at which your heart beats, there is a normal range.
Okay.
Once it falls outside of that normal range, we consider it abnormal because that can have negative effects on the heart and also on the person.
Okay.
All the way from, I just feel bad, I just don't have energy, to things that are even more serious, like a cardiac arrest and the like, and
Okay.
worse. So an abnormal or cardiac arrhythmia is not something to be scoffed at. It's it can be very, very serious. And when it comes to treating arrhythmias, there are roughly 3 buckets of treatment. One is drugs, and they go all the way from super cheap and very basic all the way through to some more complex ones. The second bucket is, let me call it ablation. So you go and you burn off a little bit of tissue somewhere. Right. The third bucket is, let's call it electrical stimulation. So you can have like an ICD device, you can have a pacemaker. So these ones will send a pulse, an electrical pulse to the heart in order to influence and control the heart rate or the heart rhythm.
Okay.
These are roughly 3 buckets. There are some other things you can do, right? For example, if the arrhythmia is due to some sort of oxygen or blood flow insufficiency, then a coronary artery bypass could help. But there are lots of other things but generally these are arguably 3 big buckets.
And all of their objective is to bring the heart arrhythmia back into the normal spectrum.
That's right.
Okay.
There is this other distinction, right, between rate and rhythm control. So rate is just that the actual rate of the heart is either too high or too low.
Okay.
But the rhythm is normal. Rhythm is the actual rate can be within the normal range. It can be high, it can be low, but it's not regular.
Okay.
So there's another thing to bear in mind.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking here, right? With that technological development, where do you see right now some of the biggest leaps we could make in either one of those 3 buckets or maybe something new? What are you currently seeing?
If you look at drugs or medications for arrhythmias, they have some really good advantages because they can be mass-produced, and they can be very accessible, especially when they're priced right and the supply chain is done properly. They can be very accessible, but they also have some, should I say, drawbacks. Number one, whenever you give someone a drug, there is a period between the time you give them the drug and when you see the full effect.
Yeah.
That's one. A second thing is drugs have side effects.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they go systemically, they can have not just side effects in your heart, but side effects elsewhere. The third thing, and this is almost axiomatic, is that any antiarrhythmic drug can give you another arrhythmia.
Oh, yeah.
So, for example, beta blockers can, if your heart rate is going really fast, beta blockers can help bring that down, but they can also slow you down and give you a really slow heart rate. And so that's the same thing you get with a lot of antiarrhythmic drugs.
Okay.
If you look at the electrostimulation therapy as that bucket, as we've called it now, they're great for particular purposes, but they're not suited to a lot of arrhythmias. An ICD device doesn't work for atrial fibrillation.
Okay.
Pacemakers are tough for atrial fibrillation. We've been trying them, and they have some uses, but they are tough to implement for atrial fibrillation. Ablation is great. It's you put in a catheter, you burn off an area of tissue, and you try and burn off the area where the arrhythmia is coming from.
Okay.
But it also has its downsides. They can be quite expensive. you require a specialist center, specialist cardiac electrophysiologists for that. Right? This adds to the cost. And also with the burning, you burn an area. So anything within that area where you burn is a simplified way of putting it. But anything within that area burns. And you can have a little bit of hit and miss. And patient selection, which is another thing, has to be done carefully for a lot of ablation.
Okay.
So just because a patient has atrial fibrillation doesn't mean they're suitable for ablation.
Exactly.
So these are, you can start to see that there are pros and cons to all the treatment, and there is room for other treatments to come.
Okay. Is there already on the market some other options available, or are we still looking at these three main elements for arrhythmia treatment?
These are still the three main areas. I'm fortunate enough to be looking at something, right, which is different in some ways. It's not a drug. It's a molecule which we can activate. You give it to the patient, and why I say it's a molecule and not a drug in that you give it to the patient and it doesn't do anything.
Okay.
It's not active, but you activate it with a device, and then it starts to vibrate, and then it does its thing. So that's why I call it a molecule. Now, a good thing about this is that it has some advantages which drugs don't offer, which ablation doesn't seem to offer, and the electrical stimulation therapies don't seem to offer.
Okay, so it's a complete, almost novel idea or novel concept then, or has there been a lot of research of this area already, or is it complete? Not maybe not completely novel, but a novel idea that is in the development.
I think you're right. I wouldn't say completely novel in the sense that there's no such thing as light activated molecules, and there is a whole field around that.
Yes.
In fact, what I did at one of my previous companies, was working with a lot of these technologies for activating these light activated molecules. However, those were mainly used for visualization. So you could call it a diagnostic, an in vitro diagnostic, but it's just purely visualization. What I'm trying to do now is take that a step further. Take that, one, into the cardiac field, for one, and two, into the therapeutic field.
Okay.
And the reason I feel like this is really important and I can do it, or I can have a good shot at it, is I have a good experience in the cardiac field, in treating patients, in managing some of these disorders. I have some good experience in researching, developing, and commercializing these technologies. And I understand the molecules, and so I'm trying to bring those together now.
Oh, that's an intense journey to embark on, or it sounds from my perspective a quite intense journey to embark on. So, I mean, if one thinks about it, I mean, I think this could be relevant. This journey of, this idea generation and the whole process, product, you have an idea, product development, bringing it to market and so forth. So let's maybe use you as a bit of a use case.
Sure.
To as well help those out there that may be as well on your type of journey, whichever field that they would be on. So if we look at this from that perspective and we say, okay, we know that there is out on our audience, there's investors, there is people in policy, there is people in the field that is working in logistics and importing and so forth. For a person like you that has this idea that would be now in this concept development, what would you for example, or if there's then other people that's like Robert, busy with this idea, what is normally the journey that you would go on for this development, and whose support would you need in order to take such an idea that would make such a big difference in the world, to the next level?
Oh, I'd say firstly that I am in a privileged position, and I've been blessed because of the experiences that I have had.
Yes.
A clinician, developing and commercializing. And that's put me in a nice position to be able to, at the very least, offer an opinion on on this field. So what the first thing I think that helps is having people like me, or people who have some experience and some expertise and love and passion for this field,
Yes.
to be able to step into it.
Absolutely.
So that's number one. Number two, you need money.
Yeah.
You need investors. If I had all the money, then I would just do it myself. But unfortunately, I don't. So definitely need investors for it.
Okay. So do you already have an investor, or are you always looking for more?
I have some prospective investors, but I'm definitely looking for more.
Okay.
I have some people who have verbally committed to investing, and I already have a little bit of money raised for this, but definitely looking for more.
Absolutely. So if you are an investor out there, please do ping us in the DMs below, and we will reach out so that we can connect you guys. So if there is anybody out there wanting to invest in this cardiac
Light activated therapy,
please do DM us below, and please do listen to the rest of this discussion. So
that's right.
what would you then say? What is step 3? So basically make sure you have a great team of people that can develop this and have the knowledge and the experience and opinion, thought leaders on this topic. 2, get investment and secure partners that can help you fund this process. What would you say would be step 3?
Oh, I think you've already jumped to step 4 or 5.
Oh my goodness, too far.
So you've mentioned.
Oh, okay.
So the first step was you have someone who's passionate about it.
Okay.
One or two people who are passionate about it to take it forward. So there's me, the lead inventor for the molecule. He is super passionate. He is a great, amazing guy. Right? And he really, really spot on. He has a lot of experience as well, not just on the science side, but he also has experience on the business side. Because he's been involved with a number of startups, and even a couple of those have gone public.
Sure.
So we have a good core to start with. The next thing, step 2, is you mentioned have a good team.
Okay.
And this is another area which I've been really blessed with, which is one of our advisors is someone who's worked in this field for over 30 years. On the optical side, on the technology side, the light technology side, he's worked in this field for over 30 years, and he's on board. A third person, or rather a second person, in terms of besides me and my co-founder, is someone who's a serial entrepreneur and worked in the pharma field for a really high position in one of the big pharma companies. So this is another good person to have on board. And the third is a professor of translational cardiology who has already started to advise on it. And this is a real blessing to have that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So as a starting team, I think that we are fortunate to have these skill sets in the starting team.
I think that's definitely important. Good idea, great team.
That's right.
And then absolutely to your point then, so then step 3 would be securing some funding, whether it's self-funded or having somebody else that believes in it, that's willing to push for the technology to come to life, to give people more options than just the ones that is there with a lot of potential negative elements. This one could potentially create a positive impact without the downside. That's what I understand.
That's right. I think that or I've come to see that one thing that encourages and motivates both those within the company or within the organization and those who are considering supporting, like investors and advisors or and the like, right, is some good evidence.
Absolutely.
Evidence that the molecule works, evidence that the technology works, the light technology works, proof of concept that it works in cells, in a beating heart, in a live animal, and also a pathway to development and commercialization.
Absolutely.
And I strongly believe that we have that.
Okay.
So we have evidence that it works in cells. We have evidence that it works in a live beating heart, which we've done with animal tests and shown proof of concept with that. We have a good pathway to development and commercialization because the light technology is something that is well known, well used. There's a great familiarity with it. The technology of the molecules and the acceptance of light activated molecules in medical practice is already there. If we're going to go the route of using catheters, cardiac catheters, there's already a pathway there.
Stunning.
If we're going to have it for open heart surgery, there's already a pathway there. So we have a good pathway for this.
That's incredible. And then what would be the next step? So what I understand, so what you said, step one, great idea. Step two, great team. Step three, investment, financial support.
That's right.
From key stakeholders. Step four, proof of concept.
That's right.
Right, on multiple levels, right,
That's
and a
right.
clear pathway. And then?
And then we have the step pathways as you have preclinical testing and then clinical testing.
Okay, clear.
For the preclinical testing now the good thing for us is we know it works. We know the molecule works. We know the technology works. We know the combination works. And so we can rifle through that, this preclinical testing. We're going to have to do the pharmacokinetics, dynamics, all of that stuff. We can do that.
Absolutely.
So that's the next step for us.
Oh, that is fantastic. And then ultimately, then it's a matter of once that is done, then it becomes then really an investment in scaling this, developing it out, and so forth. Like you said, rifling through to get this developed and out to market.
That's right. But let's not forget the big area of the clinical testing.
Okay.
Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3.
Exactly.
While I'm confident that we can rifle through this and go through this at good pace, one thing I will not tolerate is cutting corners or doing anything that is unsafe. So we're still going to have to go through all of that.
Absolutely. And I think that's very, very important, especially in the field of, medicine and so forth. You can't cut corners because your customer is first. The patient has to be priority.
Oh, absolutely.
At all times.
Oh, absolutely.
And therefore, there is a timeline to it and so forth that needs to be applied. In your experience, again, just to talk out there to those who, as maybe on a similar path, maybe with a different product, which markets do you see is sometimes easier to enter versus like for such a new novel technology to do that first, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 testing on and to get it to market? What have you seen in the industry in your, almost 20 years of experience? What is your experience there? Is there some markets where a product is easier to go through that testing and other markets that is harder? So what markets would you tackle first?
I've come to see that you have to go to multiple markets. You shouldn't confine yourself to just one market. So even for this stage where we're doing the proof of concept, we're talking to people in different regions, in different continents.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then for the clinical testing, we will also be talking to people in different continents. And so I've already earmarked for Europe, for the US. So far, these are people who I've met personally. But it doesn't mean that I'm not open to other places where I know that there is such a need for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's important because if there's such a need for it, I think it's important for an idea to come to life, to be manifested, to come to the planet so that it can ultimately serve.
That's right. That's right.
And so, in essence, next step for you would be basically to ask out there: is there any, way that, let's say, policymakers or operators or supply chain, obviously the investors, can support you in such an endeavor? What would you need from each one of the levels of these stakeholders?
So every business survives on a number of things. Money is important, but right decisions are just as important as the money. Otherwise, the money can be wasted.
Correct.
The right location is just as important. Otherwise, you're trying to operate in the wrong location with the wrong infrastructure, doesn't work. And so these are three areas we would be tackling. We've talked a little about the need for investment. In terms of the right advice and the right direction, there is within the team, but then there is outside as well. Yes, policymakers, particularly the regulatory, you have in Europe, in China, in Japan, in the US, wherever you go. These are people that we will, and these are bodies that we will engage from very early on in order to get the right direction for us to go so that we develop in line with what their requirements are. There will, of course, be other experts that come into the group, and those will be most welcome because you don't want to operate in a bubble on your own.
No, I mean,
Never. And so we're going to need and we're going to pursue all of these tracks simultaneously.
Yeah, no, I think it's a journey, right? It's a network. It's ultimately a team effort to bring these elements to life. And so if you're as well on a similar journey of product development, of a novel idea, as you heard today, it's a matter of, it's a journey. You would need a great idea. You would need a great team. You would need some investment to support you on your way.
That's right.
You need to work on your proof of concept, and then ultimately you need to take it to the market in a phased approach, one country at a time, and then engage with a number of stakeholders like your investors, your decision makers, your policy makers, in order to get the support to ultimately then operate and work with your operational people to get your product to market and get it deployed. So, wow, what a journey. What an incredible inspiration. I think maybe what's the last thing that you would say to other individuals out there that is on a similar journey as you?
So I want to track back a little bit.
Oh, okay. Let's do that.
I am super excited about what it is I'm doing.
Yes.
Yes, it's early stage and there is more to come, but I am super excited about it because these are the type of things that really push the boundaries, push the envelope. Imagine having a situation where a patient comes to a doctor and says, "Oh, I don't feel so well, and I just felt my heart go a little bit." They do they do an ECG and they go, "Oh, it looks like you have this arrhythmia," and the doctor says, "Just lie on the couch, or come back in. Let's prepare things in a couple of hours in our treatment room." You go in there, the doctor, the nurse, they hook you up to some monitors, and they get an IV access, and they bring in this thing that looks like like it has a camera or something at the end, and the doctor says, "Okay, you lie on the couch, get the IV access. We give you we give you this liquid that has some molecules in it." And they give it to you, and 10 minutes later, the doctor pulls the camera-like thing above your chest, and then a couple of seconds, right, zap, zap, right, the doctor goes, "Yes, I can see where the arrhythmia is coming from." And then now we're going to do the treatment. We can do it right now. And in the same amount of time, okay, let's say, for argument's sake, let's say 10 minutes. Within 10 minutes, right, the doctor targets the area or those areas with the same device that did the diagnostic. And he zaps those places and the treatment's done.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be so cool. And then they monitor you for an hour, 2 hours, because it's safe to... I'm a full believer in monitoring people after they've had a treatment. They monitor you for that. You're absolutely fine. You go home. Perhaps you go home with a little device to record your heart rate for the next 24, 48 hours. And that's it. That's what we're looking for.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
That's what we're striving for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think if innovations like that would come to life, exactly like yours and then others that can truly aid the human race that fast and that beautifully, I mean, what a beautiful world will this not become?
It would be nice. It would be really cool. It would be really phenomenal.
Well, again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes.
Thank you to everybody out there listening to this Let's Talk Trade. And it's when all of us work together that amazing new technologies like the one that Robert is talking about can come to life. Looking forward to having you again one day on this couch.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Absolutely.
Yes. Hopefully when I come back, we'll be talking about a more advanced stage.
Absolutely. We'll be talking about how we are distributing it globally.
That'll be wonderful. That would be really wonderful.
Wouldn't that be great? Yes. Absolutely. Well, thank you for everybody for listening today. Looking forward to talk to you trade again next time. Bye-bye.